I was about 10 or 11, my father gave me one of the old black plastic Kodak Brownie cameras. And that was like night and day for me. I could produce something that looked like I saw. And since then, I've always had a camera in my hand. And I think I've had 6 cameras. I got my first digital camera in 1999, and I was enchanted because there were no films. I could get an immediate gratification, and I subsequently taught myself to use the digital darkroom. So it answered all my dreams. Well, about a year ago, the Penticton Art Gallery brought 2 organizations together. One was the Penticton Photography Club, which I'm a member of, and the other one is a special interest group called the Artsy Girls, who are fiber artists, and they are a subgroup of the Penticton Quilters Guild. And the decision was made to run an exhibition called Penticton, A Progression in Time. And so the starting point was 12 historic landmarks in the Penticton area, what they were like when they first began and what they are like now. And some of them are hardly changed at all, and others no longer exist. But all of those landmarks have lots of stories to tell. It's all about landmarks. And I can talk about the landmarks: Front Street, City Hall, Lear House, that was at the top of Carmi, that's now the Speedway, the Lakeshore. We go as far north as Naramata and as far south as Okanagan Falls. The Oxbows and the Channel, the train station that used to be on the Lakeshore, and the Kettle Valley Railway. What the earliest landmark was the Ellis Homestead, which no longer exists. And that was built in about the mid-1860s. Okay, so it goes back a long way. What's interesting about that one is that Mr. Ellis, who settled here, bought something like 20,000 acres for his cattle ranch. And in 1906, he sold his entire operation, and part of it became Okanagan Falls. But what's in Okanagan Falls from that period are the stockyards, the cattle auction, still there. So that's an example of how far back it goes. Well, COVID, I think, has probably caused some delays for most of us who are exhibiting. I had problems because I couldn't get inside the building that I wanted to photograph, and had to be content with the outside. And then I had to have the challenge of being able to show what it was like before. And that took a lot of time. Because I couldn't get into the Naramata Inn because of COVID, all I could take was the exterior, which looks exactly as it did in 1908 when the building was finished. I had to go and do some research in the museum there. And it was quite a resort in those days. It had a beach, and they had swimming, and they had sailing and canoeing and tennis tournaments, croquet, but they had the Old English ritual of afternoon tea. And in the museum were photographs of the men and women having afternoon tea in the most women were wearing the most gorgeous white cotton dresses with big hats and parasols. And I thought, right, I'm going to put into my exterior shots of the inn the ghosts of those people. And so it covers the time frame and the progression. And so that's how I did it. I would suggest, to be honest, that you have a look at the exhibition, because in the exhibition are archival photographs of all the landmarks as they were when they began. And then you can take a look at how the photographers have interpreted the theme, and you'll see how the city has changed.